and welcome back to Screen Babble. The world of movies was focused intently on LA last night, where the 98th Oscars took place. We're here to fill you in on all the news from the night. I'm your host, Kelly Crichton, and I'm joined by TV critic Matt Mohan-Hickson. We won't be following our usual format, as we're here to talk about only one thing. Matt, did you stay up all night to watch the Oscars?
I'm in my 30s now. I'm too old for that. I'm not a spring chicken anymore. I'm closer to a chicken waiting for the butcher's block, to be honest. Yeah. But I do enjoy the chaos of waking up and then looking through social media.
Trying to find out what's happened.
Yeah. Get it in such a random order that it's fun. Like, it's like doing a jigsaw.
I do remember in my teens staying up a few times because it was just like, I think it was the novelty, you know, and there were some very big films, I suppose, that were kind of life-changing films. But no, I didn't stay up either, but I was lying in bed awake at 6:45 this morning thinking, did Jessie Buckley win? Did Jessie Buckley win? And I opened my Instagram the minute I woke up, and there it was, Jessie. So I was over the moon. I mean, I've mentioned on the podcast before, she's from my hometown in Ireland, so we are really, really proud of her this morning. And well, we've been proud of her for a long time, but I just can't believe that someone from Killarney has won that Oscar, and the first Irish woman ever to win that Oscar as well, which is amazing. And I just thought, you know, the role she played was unbelievable. She was fantastic in Hamnet, and her speech was absolutely wonderful. She's just such a normal person, you know. She's just like, she was blown away, and she talked about all the other actresses and about the women she worked with, and about, you know, how women have to struggle to make their work. And she talked about her husband, and she talked about her baby, and she talked about her family, and it was just fabulous. And she's just such a genuine person. So I was delighted with myself this morning. Well deserved, I think. I mean, she was shoe-in, wasn't she?
Yeah, like also, like, it kind of feels mad that she hasn't won one before. Like, you know, she's been so good for so long that, like, it feels,
She's relatively young as well, so she's going to be, I think there's lots of potential other Oscars in her future as well, because she's fantastic. But so tell us, who else were the major winners of the night, Matt? So, like, no major runaways, was there? It was kind of balanced.
No, it was sort of, like, it was, as everyone kind of expected, it was mainly one battle after another, and Sinners that picked up the main stuff. So one battle after another, that got best film, got best director as well for Paul Thomas Anderson. I was thinking the other day, like, I was like, oh yeah, I'm really glad, I really like Paul Thomas Anderson. And then I was looking at his movies, like, I've only seen Phantom Thread, but, like, I really like Phantom Thread.
I'm not that familiar either.
Which, like, I only saw because it was, like, filmed in Whitby, and I grew up near Whitby, so I was like, oh, nice, that's really cool.
Yeah,
like, I like seeing
the connection.
Yeah, the connection. I think it filmed in the same places that it's not Heartbeat. Heartbeat had a spin-off that was like about a hospital one around the same time. It filmed in some of the same locations.
Practice or one of those, maybe.
Something like that, like, Our older listeners, I'm sure, will remember.
So I mean, we've talked about this before, but I kind of felt like One Battle After Another was just like an action movie with this sort of political slant to it. But clearly people enjoyed it. But Leonardo, unfortunately, didn't pick up the gong, despite the fact that it had 6 wins. He wasn't there, I'm afraid.
No, it was Michael B. Jordan, and I mean, he did play two
people, exactly. Which, to be fair, that's a skill in itself, isn't it? Because obviously he's playing to either a green screen or a stand-in or whatever. So not the real thing. So there's a skill there. Well, maybe like a hologram or something. Yeah, exactly. But well deserved, and I was glad to see him getting that Oscar, and for Sinners doing so well as well. They had a great win for their cinematography. Which was,
I think that's the first time a woman's won as well.
Correct.
Like, there was quite a few of.
So Autumn Durrell's Arkapaw, I hope I've said her name correctly there, but she's the first woman to take home the cinematography award at the Oscars. I mean, so that's brilliant.
What a beautiful movie to just look at. You know.
I loved it. And it won a few more like sound ones, and that the sound was brilliant on it as well. It was really evocative, and fantastic. So we're losing track of ourselves now. So we have Best Picture, Best Director, Actress.
Best Actress.
Sean Penn got Best Supporting Actor for One Battle After Another, which he was great in it, to be fair. But he wasn't at the ceremony, was he? Did you hear any reason why? No, he wasn't.
No, but he hasn't been around at all, I don't think, for the campaigning. Like, I think maybe he's just not bothered by it
weird
anymore.
when things like that happen, isn't it? It's like, what's that all about? But apparently Timothy Chalamet was getting loads of shtick off people on the night because he'd said that weird stuff last week or the week before about ballet and opera being outdated.
But apparently that was from like 2019 or something. And what and his point was that he didn't want movies to become niche like ballet and
or obsolete. Yeah,
like like they are niche. Like it does cost quite a lot to go to the opera. Like or you have to live near an opera house. You know. Like, I do live in York, so I think ballet not so niche here. But
I know. I kind of take his point, but he was getting pelters for it.
Expressed, I think.
100%.
So
they were sorry.
I was going to say, and there was the first ever, and apparently this is one that people have been lobbying for years to be included for best casting. So,
yes, of course,
it was, One Battle After Another. I don't have the name here, but the lady who was responsible for assembling the cast for that movie won, which I think, like it has to be a massive skill. Like,
unbelievable.
You go, Leonardo DiCaprio, Benicio del Toro, Sean Penn, like, obviously. But like, I don't know, you have to get the right people for the right roles.
And I mean, there's more to that than the logistics of a thing. It's not like casting directors are like, oh, I want X, Y, and Z, and they just go out and get them. Like, the actors mightn't want to do it. The logistics, they might not be able to do it because of their diaries or their whatever, their other jobs. Like, it takes a lot to get the right cast in the right place at the right time and together, and huge, unbelievable job they do, like, and for the importance in film. So it's great to see that actually coming online. Another kind of notable award last night was for documentary, and it was won by David Bornstein for his documentary called Mr. Nobody Against Putin. And essentially he's a teacher living in Russia, and he sort of filmed what was going on in the schools and the sort of diktats that were coming down from Putin. And so for 2.5 years he did that basically undercover. And I mean, he probably can't go back to Russia now, I imagine. He's exiled. He's a young guy, like so brave, like unbelievable. So it's great to see someone like that getting recognised as well, who's put their life on the line for their art, I've not seen the film actually, but I imagine that'd be something that was probably fairly accessible.
I think it's on iPlayer. Yeah.
Oh my God. Okay, let's check that out.
Yeah.
So what have we not had? We've had Best Actress, Best Actor, all the big ones.
Actress, that was a bit of a surprise because Woomy from Sinners had been winning everything and was sort of seen as a lock, but Amy Madigan, who was Aunt Gladys in Weapons, which Weapons is such a fun movie. Like, Weapons
I haven't seen it. Is it good? It's a horror, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, but it's very fun.
That's funny because again, horror, like,
doesn't normally do well, does it?
No, and also, what was Demi Moore's film from last year that was The Body?
The Substance.
So that was a horror as well, obviously. And then you've got Sinners, which has kind of elements of horror in it, like vampires and all that. So it's interesting that there's that little kind of fad in horrors at the moment, isn't there? Or they're becoming more mainstream or more acceptable to the mainstream or whatever.
The Academy of, I guess, like they've added a lot of people, because it was about a decade ago now that it must have been when there was the Oscars So White sort of controversy. They added a lot of international members, and I think that's why you're starting to see stuff like horror movies actually winning
That's interesting.
awards.
That's really interesting, yeah.
It's kind of mad. That was the first female actor to win for a horror movie since Misery, I think.
Stop.
3.5 decades.
Wow.
I saw it.
Kathy Bates.
Kathy Bates.
That was, she was exceptional in that as well, wasn't she? Yeah.
and Amy Madigan broke the record for the longest time between being first nominated for an Oscar and winning. It was 40 years, so 1986 was the first time she was nominated. And now
is 1986 40 years ago?
It is, I'm afraid.
God damn it. Do you know what film it was for that she was nominated originally?
Not off the top of my head.
I wonder. Like I love that kind of stuff. I love the little nichey bits that come out of the Oscars.
Yeah.
Like Conan O'Brien was hosting for the second time, I think, and I some reviews saying it was a bit flat. Like it wasn't sort of, not that it wasn't controversial enough, but like, you know, everybody wants there to be something like, ooh, did they really say that? You know what I mean? And I'm not sure there was much of that.
I think there was a bit of, for me at least, lack of bravery in some of the speeches. Like there was, you know, there was some political stuff like Joachim Trier, who won for Sentimental Value for Best International Feature. Like he paraphrased James Baldwin, sort of, you know, I think what's the quote? It's all adults are responsible for all children and don't vote for politicians that don't bear this in mind. And Paul Thomas Anderson sort of said he made one battle after another to sort of apologise for how his generation has left the world for his kids. And you go, yeah, that's cool, but like maybe be a bit more like pointed and not sort of.
When especially when the film literally people are in like being held in prisons in the film, you know, for their, you know, colour of their skin or nationality or whatever. Like, you know, it was a bit not in keeping with the tone of the film. Yeah,
and like these are sort of the people that can kind of afford at this point to like, you know.
But nobody wants to ruffle feathers, do they? Like they don't, you know. These people are looking for work and want to get in the next job and all that. And if you ruffle the wrong feathers, like it's sad, but it's true. But I don't get me wrong, I completely agree that if you've got a platform, you should be using it, you know. But
fair play to Javier Bardem. I saw an interview with him in Variety because he said he criticised the war, didn't he, when he was handing out awards, and he said Free Palestine, and he had a badge that he'd had in 2003 to protest the Iraq war. He was wearing a badge on his lapel, which is kind of grim that 23 years later we're doing this.
Mark Ruffalo is another great man for it, actually. Yeah. I haven't seen any of his interviews, but I saw some of his interviews on a previous red carpet a few weeks ago, and he's very vociferous about America's, you know, getting involved in international affairs and starting wars, etc. There are people there, but we need more of them. But anyway, there you go.
One of the biggest, I guess, disappointments for me on the night is I haven't seen Sentimental Value. I'm sure it's really good. I've seen other films from Joachim Trier. I saw his most recent before this, The Worst Person in the World, which is really fun. But for me, the biggest snub of the night was Best International Film. It was Just an Accident was the best movie that I personally saw last year. It's such a brave movie. It's directed by Jafar Panahi, who is an Iranian filmmaker who has been detained in Iran numerous times over the years.
I've heard of him. Yeah,
he's in exile at the moment. That movie's all about people who think they've found someone who was a person who tortured them while they were detained. You know, like it's sort of a surprisingly fun movie. Like that they're sort of trying to work out if this guy is actually the guy, and there's sort of more and more people get added to, like they go in this van and it's like, all right, they go and get a photographer, and then there's a bride and groom who are having their wedding pictures taken, and they're sat there in like the wedding dress and the thing, and you know, all these sort of motley crew of people, and it's just deeply effective and affecting even. And like I guess these are the kind of people that are suffering right now, you know. It's a shame that movie wasn't, you know, sort of given the awards. Given it's not only very, very good, it's like very, very good, it's also like timely, and I don't know.
Yeah, but maybe that was the problem too. Maybe it was too timely.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? God, it's annoying. I sometimes I'm like, is there any point in getting into kind of like conspiracy theories about what power the Oscar, you know, they have to control the voting, or, you know, can it be corrupted, etc. There's in a way no point in us speculating that they can. However, strange things do happen. Like, for example, last night there was a tie for the best short live action film. It's only the 7th time it's happened in Oscars history. And it was 2 films, The Singers and 2 people exchanging saliva, which is a great name for a film. And they had a tie. So they had to go through the whole rigmarole of like getting them up, giving the Oscar and getting the speeches from both of them. But so it makes you think, oh, maybe it is really fair, you know, rather than speculating that they're all
I always err on the side of like, it's probably like the conspiracy is too much. Like, it's probably just people like, you know, Joachim Trier has won before people know his name, so they probably just take like, yeah, I like him. Yeah, he wins. You know, I think maybe there's a bit of that. You know,
wasn't there something about now they have to watch all the films and not just vote? It was like, what? They don't watch all the films?
No, before like, have you ever seen? There's those Hollywood Reporter articles that always come out every year. It's like they speak to the Oscar voters, and it's like full of the most like insane like quotes ever. It's always stuff
because
like
they've not watched the film, basically.
Yeah, because they don't watch anything. Jesus. Like they're like, oh yeah, I hate animation. Disney released a film, so I picked Disney.
That doesn't instill much confidence, does it?
No.
The other little story I thought that was lovely that the BBC had was about a British man, Mike Hill, who's part of the team that won for makeup and hairstyling for Frankenstein. And he grew up in the north of England in the 70s and like used to watch horror films and all that. And he speaks to the BBC saying that when he was a kid, he used to go walk along the canal near where he lived and he'd dig up the dirt to get the clay and he'd play with it in his back garden because they couldn't afford to buy plasticine. So he'd make like clay figures in his back garden of like Frankenstein and King Kong and all that. And then he started doing makeup and you know, prosthetics and stuff. And he ended up working with Jeremy Beadle when he was in his 20s. Wow. And then he went on to America, took off like with $1,000 in his pocket in his 30s, hoping for the best. And then Guillermo del Toro got him on board with it. And like, just such a lovely, you know, rags to riches is a horrible way to put it. But like, you know, he had a dream and he just kept after it. Like, and it's amazing.
You know, it's always nice to feel that like you don't have to have been born in, you know, a specific place to be able to achieve your goals.
And that definitely resonated with me with Jessie Buckley, and my 2 girls were at the table this morning and I'm like, she's from my town. She's, you know, if she can do it, anyone, you know, you can do it. Like, you know, I suppose you can't be what you can't see, they say, you know, so it makes such a difference when they're a real person that you know of or whatever, you know, then rather than these kind of Hollywood glamorous stars that are way over there and you don't really know what they're about and it's all seems kind of fake, you know. But just before we go, maybe a word about the tributes last night, because it's always quite a touching part of the Oscars, the in memoriam bit. So obviously there was some big names passed away this year. Barbara Streisand did a tribute to Robert Redford. They were great pals. And there was also tributes to Rob Reiner, Diane Keaton, Catherine O'Hara, loads actually. And apparently remarkable how many people we lost this year from the silver screen. So worth checking out as well. So yeah, and the last thing to say is, unless you've got any other controversial moments.
Well, I was going to say that actually prompted, there was one bit of controversy around the tributes, actually, the in memoriam. I never know how to say that. In memoriam,
yeah.
David Keeley, who was like a key part of IMAX and developing IMAX, and like Christopher Nolan like loves him and Ryan Coogler loved him. He died last year and he wasn't mentioned, and I saw stuff, there was quite a lot of controversy about him not being included, which I guess they always run the risk of, like, you know.
Yeah. I wonder what the parameters are. Like James Van Der Beek wasn't included, but did he do film? I thought he only did TV, and is that why he wasn't included? Also, Bridget Bardot wasn't included. Now, that's a big gap because, but apparently, you know, her politics weren't necessarily what a lot of people would agree with. So was she left out because of her politics? Like, it's mad, isn't it?
Yeah.
Don't know what her parameters like.
Or is it a case that they like have an unannounced cut-off of like, I don't know, December last year.
Yeah,
or
it
something,
depends
and
on
they
when you
just
die.
don't include people who died in January and February.
Well, Catherine O'Hara was included and she's not dead that long, is she? So who knows? Who knows what the parameters are? Maybe you have to have done X number of films in X recent times or whatever. Who knows? But the last bit of controversy was around poor old K-pop Demon Hunters. They won a couple of awards actually, but they won for Golden Song, which my kids love, all kids love. But they started doing their speech and only one of them got to actually say anything, and they got literally played off this stage, which is very disrespectful. Like their Oscar is worth the same as the next person's, you know, and they should get the same time. But yeah, it's always been a thing, isn't it? The Oscars, that sort of, you know, hint, elbow, like the shepherd's crook pulling them off. Anyway, listen, it's been not a very eventful year, a nice one. Nobody swept the board. Jessie did us proud, and
Jessie did us proud.
Roll on next year. We won't make any predictions at this stage, will we, Matt?
No.
I was so wrong about Mickey 17 last year. I am done. Okay, thanks for joining us on Screen Babble. If you have any suggestions for what TV or film we need to get into our lives, drop us a line via social media. We'd love for you to rate, review, and subscribe to the podcast so we can reach as many TV lovers as possible. We'll be back soon with more Screen Babble. Bye.
Ciao.